Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Okay, it's official. We finally have an official teaser poster for the new Halloween movie coming out this October the 19th, 2018. Now, at about 1:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Toronto, which is about 10:30 p.m. Pacific Time on the West Coast, Nick Castle tweeted out, I think it was around that time, maybe that was just the time that I saw it, but I think it was in and around that time. He tweeted out a very short tweet that said something to the effect of, new Halloween info coming tomorrow. Meaning today. And people were losing their minds and losing their shit, and they're commenting on, oh my God, Nick, is it the trailer, Nick? Please tell me it's the trailer. Is it the official synopsis, Nick? What's happening? Are we gonna see you in full getup, Nick? What's going on, Nick? Nick, don't do this to me, brother. Don't do this to me. Literally, they were all over the place. I didn't think it was going to be a trailer of any sort. I still go back to my prediction on that we're probably not going to get that until May, maybe June, maybe. Sometimes it's a good ballpark to think, well, we've got a teaser poster, maybe a teaser trailer is coming very soon, like maybe this week, maybe in the next couple of weeks. Yes, you can think that. Usually that's something you tend to take to the bank with bona fide blockbusters like Star Wars or the Marvel or DC films. Not so much independent, low-budget horror films. Having said that, at the same time, this is a very highly anticipated horror film. So it has that sort of weight behind it. So it's possible, it wouldn't surprise me if within the next couple of weeks, suddenly there's a teaser trailer. Something very short, maybe 30 seconds, something like that. Wouldn't surprise me, but I still go back to my original prediction, which is probably sometime in May, maybe beginning of June. Now, something to keep in mind for those of you who have forgotten, don't worry, we'll get to the teaser poster here in a second, but it's important. A few weeks ago, Nick Castle tweeted out in reference to the Niagara Falls Comic-Con happening between June 1st and 3rd, he did say, that's, a Comic-Con that he's going to be attending, all will be revealed. Now, maybe that's a bit of a hyperbole, and he doesn't actually mean that literally everything about the movie is going to be revealed at the Niagara Falls Comic-Con from June 1st to 3rd in Niagara Falls, Canada. I think that's an odd location to reveal everything. Not that it's Canada. I mean, just at the Niagara Falls, you think you'd want to do it at somewhere with, much higher profile, like Fan Expo in Toronto at the end of August, or at Comic-Con in, California. Whatever the case is, right? I find that to be an odd location to say something like that, but who knows? Maybe he's just, exaggerating a little bit. Maybe not all will be revealed. Maybe something will be revealed. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, just keep that in mind. June 1st to 3rd, Niagara Falls Comic-Con. So, so let's look at the teaser poster, folks. Let's bring it up here on the screen. Here it is, the official teaser poster for your new Halloween movie coming out October the 19th, 2018. And of course, this one is official. Jamie Lee Curtis tweeted this out, and so did Blumhouse. So we know this is the real deal, ladies and germs. Now, before I begin, I want to say this. You're not going to please everybody. Are there going to be people out there who look at this teaser poster and think this is the biggest pile of shit, that are going to be underwhelmed and extremely disappointed? Yes. And maybe a lot of you are watching and listening to me right now. It's going to happen. You can't please everybody. That's why myself and people like Tony Michael over on his channel have been telling people to calm your expectations, okay? I know you're excited, but you gotta calm your expectations. There is a fundamental question that I'm going to mention at the end of this video that I want all of you to ask yourself when you are looking at this teaser poster, when you are looking at this mask. I won't ask it right now. It'll be at the end of the video, but it will be the fundamental question you have to ask yourself when looking at this image. And some people will say yes, and some people will say no, but we'll get to that towards the end of the video. And there are going to be people, even though I haven't seen it yet, and the only reason why I'm saying this is because this has happened before with tons of shit. I know this is going to happen, okay? I haven't seen anybody do it yet, but I know it's going to happen. It's gonna happen. I know there are going to be people that are going to not like the image. They're gonna take the image, they're gonna put it in Photoshop, they're gonna brighten it up so they can see, the other side of the mask, and they're gonna, manipulate it and boost the contrast and tinker around with it, and they're gonna, see, this looks like shit, look at this! And then they're gonna, post it on their Facebook pages or on their social media and say, see, look at at this. It looks like absolute garbage. Look at this fucking pile of shit. And essentially what the issue is they're pissed off, right? They don't like what they see, so they take the image, they put it into Photoshop, not necessarily with any sort of, nefarious intent on trying to dupe anybody they present it to, but what they're doing is they're putting it into Photoshop, brightening it up, playing with the contrast, because they're trying to find some sort of thing that they can like about it, right? So, I can't really see the other side of the mask over there. Let me, brighten that up and boost that up and blow that out and tinker with this and take that. And then before you know it, it looks nothing like it did, before they started playing with it, because now we can see the mask in broad daylight. When you look at the teaser poster right here on your screen, okay, regardless of how you feel about the mask, of whatever your first impressions were, okay, the left side of the mask, which is your right, Michael Myers' left, is in darkness. It's supposed to be that way. That was a conscious creative choice. You take that and start playing with it and blowing it up so I can see the other side just as clearly as I can see the right side, our left, Michael Myers' right, then yes, of course it's gonna look like garbage, right? Because you're blowing it up and you're playing around with it. You take any image of the original mask from 1978, and if you start, boosting the contrast and playing with the brightness and really blowing things, it's gonna look like garbage. It's gonna look like shit. So, I don't believe that these people have any sort of necessarily, nefarious intent here, but what they're doing is they're trying to find something they can like about it, but they're blowing it up and they're altering it, and then that's the image they put on their social media saying, see, look how garbage this looks. Well, yeah, but why don't you present an accurate representation of the original image and let people then make up their own minds? Because you know as well as I do that the brightness you have created in this image is not how bright the mask is going to be in the actual film. So it's not an accurate representation. All I'm saying is that for those of you out there who are about to take this poster and manipulate it and blow it up and boost the contrast and say, look at this piece of shit, it's a fucking piece of shit, you're presenting an alternate reality of the image's intent. So what are my thoughts when I first saw this teaser poster? Well, my first thought was, oh yeah, like the mask kind of looks like how I predicted it would look in my predictions video from February, I think it was. Now, in that predictions video, I predicted that the mask, based on the information that I knew at that point, I predicted that the mask within the story was supposed to be the same mask from 1978. Now, we sort of had that confirmed for us when a couple of weeks ago, HalloweenDailyNews.com released that interview they did with Christopher Nelson, the Oscar-winning special effects makeup artist for Suicide Squad, who's also working on this new Halloween film. They did an interview with him where he talked about, making the mask, the things he had to go through, his mindset when creating the mask. And within that interview, he sort of alluded to the fact, very strongly so, that this was supposed to be the same mask from 1978 in terms of the story. It is literally supposed to be the same mask just 40 years later. Of course, that article has since been removed from HalloweenDailyNews.com. I believe it was removed just a day or two later. And my assumption on that, unless anybody from HalloweenDailyNews.com can comment below and let me know differently. My assumption, logic would tell me that that was a bit of information that Blumhouse didn't want out there yet because, they want to have control over not only what information they release, of course, but when they release that information. That's very important to a marketing campaign, very important to a successful marketing campaign. So that doesn't surprise me, and I don't think HalloweenDailyNews.com was trying to be, nefarious or sneaky or, going behind anybody's back. No, not at all. I just think they were probably like, hey, dude, totally get it, awesome, but can you kind of take that down because, we're not really ready for that kind of shit yet. And Halloween Daily News was like, yeah, no problem at all. But, he pretty much confirmed with what he was saying that, yeah, this is supposed to be the same mask from 1978. So that coincided with my prediction. And then, of course, once now I'm looking at the mask here in the teaser poster, yeah, it looks like pretty much what I had predicted. You have, some cracks, some weathering, some aging, some natural sort of organic weathering and progression of a mask that's now 40 years later. So that was my first thought. My first thought was, oh yeah, this mask looks weathered, it looks older, and it looks like an aged sort of 1975 Dawn Post Captain Kirk mask. Like I buy that this could be that, which I will talk more about in just a few moments. My second thought was my eyes were drawn to the eyebrows of the mask. Now, if you look at the eyebrows of all the Michael Myers masks, with the exception of the original Halloween and Halloween 2 1981, the original sort of series, excluding Rob Zombie's 2 Halloween films, the eyebrows of the Michael Myers masks are always dark. They're never painted over white. They're always dark. And in Halloween Resurrection, it looks like his eyebrows were drawn in. Although it might not be a big deal to the average Halloween movie fan, it is a huge deal to the hardcore fan because the details of the mask are so vitally important. And why they never painted over the eyebrows, I don't know. But if you look at what they did with the original Captain Kirk mask, they painted over those eyebrows, and those eyebrows were white, but you never got that in 4, 5, 6, H2O, or Resurrection. Well, here on the teaser poster of this new Halloween film, when you look at the eyebrows, they're painted over white. We have not seen that since Halloween 2, 1981. So it's those details that I look for with the information that I'm given, because at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge we're not seeing much, okay? We're not seeing much. So all those people that are commenting going, "Oh, fuck, looks amazing. It's the best fucking mask I've ever seen. Oh, I got chills. It looks amazing. It looks amazing." I think we have to sort of pull back our expectations and acknowledge we're not seeing a whole lot here. The other thing that came to my mind was this is probably more than likely a photograph taken from a very controlled environment. So what do I mean by that? I highly doubt that this was a mask that was lifted as a screen capture from the actual film. This is more than likely coming from a controlled environment in a photo shoot, okay, where the lighting is set up specifically to cast certain shadows and certain details and show just enough and not too much specifically for this photo. It's not coming from a screen capture of the film where you may have to do some heavy-duty fancy editing in Photoshop to make it look like how you want it to look when you're releasing it on something like a teaser poster in terms of beginning your marketing campaign. We know that Nick Castle did a photo shoot dressed as Michael Myers. We know that James Jude Courtney did a photo shoot dressed as Michael Myers. We know the cast did a photo shoot, in their characters as well, with Michael Myers and not with Michael Myers. We know that big photo shoots happened in preparation to kick off the marketing campaign. So in my professional opinion, what you're looking at here is a photograph taken during one of their photo shoots in a controlled environment specifically for this kind of detail in information. So we have to remember that we're not seeing a lot. We're seeing maybe 45, 50% of the mask. Maybe we're seeing a good portion of it. Don't get me wrong. We're seeing enough of it to get an idea. Absolutely 100%. But we're not seeing the ears. We're not seeing the hair, right? We're not seeing the other side of the mask. We're not seeing it on our actual actor in motion, walking upstairs, walking downstairs. And again, I'm not saying all that shit's not going to look awesome. I'm just saying that we have to keep our expectations in check. What are we looking at here? We're not looking at a whole lot, okay? So we have to keep those things in mind. Now, another thing I want to draw your attention to is actually the eye cuts of this mask. Now, we can't really see the left side of the mask all that well, which of course is our right, but Michael Myers is left. We can only sort of see the right side, which in and of itself is very classic Michael Myers. The lighting of this image is great. They're paying homage and being true to the classic look of Michael Myers, right? Let's only light, one side of his face, keep the other side in shadow, yada, yada, yada. That's a good sign too that they're paying attention to those details. So the image in and of itself, in terms of lighting and visual aesthetic, is very appealing. So not just the mask, but the execution of this image is really solid as well, and very true to the original Michael Myers. Now, that being said, let's look at the eye cuts here. Now, the eye cuts of this mask are great because you can see, especially when we, look at the right side of the mask, which is our left, Michael Myers' right, we can see that it looks very reminiscent and very similar to the eye cuts of the original mask from 1978. However, what Christopher Nelson has done is he's also aged those eye sockets. He's aged that look around the mask, but he hasn't altered it or changed it too much because he understands that the eye cuts of the original 1978 mask are almost a character in and of themselves. He understands that if we want to go back to the roots of the 1978 original mask, these eye cuts are so important. They are, no pun intended here, the face and the window to that, emotionless absence of character. Those eye sockets and the shape of those eye sockets have to be true to the 1978 mask because that shape, the shape of those eye cuts, are the ones most identified with the character of Michael Myers, right? Everybody wants a Michael Myers mask, right? And that's not to say that there are not fans of the Halloween 6 mask or the Halloween 4 mask or the Halloween 5 N95 mask, or the H2O mask, or the Resurrection mask, or the Rob Zombie. There are probably people watching this video who like those masks. But by and large, when you surf all the Michael Myers, Facebook pages and michaelmyers.net and, everybody posting their masks, what's the mask everybody's posting? Their Halloween 1 mask, right? Whether that's a mask done up by James Carter or done by, Nicholas Art Gallery or done up by All Hallows Ghost, AHG, which I believe his real name is Mike. Whatever it is, everybody wants their version of the original mask. It's the original one everybody wants because it is the original mask from the 1978 film that is the iconic staple of the look of Michael Myers, regardless of how you feel about any of the subsequent sequels. So getting those eye sockets right was very important. So those details here, when I look at this mask, when I look at this image, I look at the eye socket and I think to myself, yes, the eye cut, the shape, even though it's distorted just a little bit because we have to show some age, right? We have to show some organic weathering and wear and tear. Certainly the general shape of the eye cut is still there. Funny enough, when looking at the mask this close up, I get a very eerie feeling personally, because this isn't just a weathered mask. There's potentially a lot of symbolism here. Now, I don't know if that was Christopher Nelson's intent or if I'm, reading a little too much into that, but because of how my mind works, I can certainly see the potentiality of some significant symbolism here. This is an old and ancient evil that has come back to Haddonfield potentially one last time, right? And, just the way that this mask is weathered and the way that it looks and the cracks that are there are not just, literally symbolic of, Michael Myers' age, but are very symbolic of the old evil that lies within him. Because again, he's human, but with that slight supernatural flavor, that slight supernatural edge. And I see these lines and these cracks and these crevices as, kind of like that wear and tear of the evil, of what the evil went through back in 1978, but it's still there. The evil is still there, right? It's almost like they're war wounds, even though they're not literal war wounds from being, stabbed in the mask or the mask being torn. It's just a natural sort of wear and tear of age. I kind of look at the mask and I go, yeah, there's a lot of symbolism around this that I can read into, and that would probably be a whole other video in and of itself. But I'm feeling okay about what I see in and around the eyes there. Another thing that I want to draw your attention to, and you can certainly see it a lot more clearly when you brighten the image up, is we can actually see the eyes of Michael Myers. But of course, because the mask is white, I don't want to brighten it up too much because then we're going to lose all the nitty-gritty details because we're going to blow it out. So this is about as bright as I want to get. Now, it's very subtle, but you can actually see the bottom of his eyelid, and if you look just above that, you can see his eye. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I actually think this is Nick Castle. Not because I recognize that, oh, those are the eyes of Nick Castle. No. I'm not that crazy. But it's just a feeling I have. There's some sort of gut feeling I have that we're looking at Nick Castle here. Now, it's entirely possible that in the coming hours or days or weeks that we could actually find out, no, this is in fact James Jude Courtney, and fair enough. But there's just a feeling I have that I think this is Nick Castle. So I'm just going to go with that for now. But nonetheless, really interesting that we can sort of kind of see his eyes in there. And again, this is a direct sequel to the original Halloween from 1978, so the ending of Halloween 2, 1981 never happened at all, and Michael Myers was not shot in the face and blind and burned and all that kind of shit. So we have to remember that. However, having said that, BloodyDisgusting.com today released an image of the poster, which they, of course, brightened the shit out of, and you can see the left side of the face a bit more clearly, which I will post here for you, as you can see. And it apparently shows that Michael Myers' left eye might not even be there. Or it is there, but there's some major damage in terms of cartilage and skin and all that kind of shit. Maybe his eye didn't even heal all that correctly, or maybe he has a glass eye, who knows, right? Which would make sense continuity-wise, because in case you guys have forgotten, at the end of the 1978 original, Laurie Strode stabs him in the eye with a coat hanger, and it's very apparent in Tony Moran's scene. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say on that. Cool. I don't think there's enough to go on here. It certainly looks that way. It certainly would make sense if they paid attention to those details, but because of the angle of the mask and because of the lighting, it's entirely possible that we're just seeing sort of maybe damage to his lower lid, but his eye, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much intact, but we're not really sure. But it does look like there is the possibility of some residual trauma here. That is entirely possible. So, good job for those over at bloodydisgusting.com. Now, something else I want to draw your attention to, of course, is going down to the bottom of the poster where the title is. And once again, the title is just Halloween, which is sort of the title they've been running with for quite some time. And because this is on the teaser poster, the official teaser poster, this makes me think that, well, maybe there's a higher probability now that they're just going to go with the title Halloween, which also makes me think that this movie may not only be acting as a sequel to John Carpenter's original classic, but that it could also be acting as a soft reboot as well, which makes me kind of go, please, no, please, because you guys know that I think it's time for the series to end. I even talked about this in a video a few weeks ago where I predicted that that this could very well be the last one because they're getting the band back together again. And I'm also hoping that it is, not because I hate Halloween, but because, I love Halloween, okay? I have standards and I love it and I don't want it to become another shit show of a series. Listen, I'm a huge Halloween fan. You guys know this, okay? I'm like the Halloween guy, but I want the series to end. I want it to let it rest. It's time to let Michael rest, okay? I think coming back and doing this sort of swan song film and getting the band back together again and doing their farewell tour, that's all fun. That's exciting. I'm all for that. And it's going to be just, an hour and a half of pure nostalgia, I am sure. That being said, as I've said in many of my past videos, if they continue on with Michael Myers after this and they do a part 2 to this movie, which I guess would be sort of part 3, and then they do a 4, which would be a 3, and a 5, which would be a 4, then you're totally defeating the whole reason of why you came back to do this movie in the first place. You came back to get Michael Myers back to his roots, right? The mortal being, the absence of character, the absence of motive, the guy in the bushes. If to justify doing a ton more sequels again, you would have to turn him into the very thing you were trying to avoid by doing this sequel in the first place. So I just think it's kind of like, oh God, please, no, just let it rest. Just let it rest so I can enjoy the movies that we have. So who knows? Obviously, we'll find out more information as this moves forward. It's still entirely possible that a more official title could be released. That's entirely possible. But right now, it looks like they're just going with Halloween, which is really interesting. Another thing that I want to draw your attention to, of course, is the font. Now, the font looks very similar to the Halloween fonts that we're totally used to from all the other Halloween films from the original series. They've sort of changed slightly over the years. I'm a big fan of the Halloween font from the original 1978 poster, and this font is very similar to that. It's a bit shorter in terms of its height. The font on the Halloween poster is a bit taller, and certainly one thing that I've noticed is that and one thing that I really like about the original poster and the original font is that the H and the N on either side of the word Halloween sits a bit taller than the rest of the letters. I've always really liked that. I also emulated that on my poster for my most recent fan film, Halloween the Night He Came Back. So I've always really liked that style. That was also replicated again for the official Halloween 2 poster as well, which I really like, but we never saw that again. So it looks like we're not seeing that here. Personally, I would have done that. I think that would have been cool to add that, really reminiscent of the original classic from 1978. But, at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal at all. It's just something that I thought would have been cool to see. Those are the fine details that, a huge hardcore fan like myself will pick up on and not necessarily the average fan. But like I said, it's not a big deal. It's just something that I think would have been a, nice touch, that kind of thing. Nonetheless, it's uniform and it is what it is, but it does look like the original font, at least very similar to it, which is kind of cool. And of course, October the 19th below that and all the studio information on either side of that. So yeah, when I look at this, again, going back to what I said just a few moments ago, there's not a lot to go on here. We can't see the ear, we can't see the hair, we can't see, a straight on shot. We haven't seen the mask in motion on our actor going up and down stairs, walking, down hallways, all that kind of stuff. However, in this controlled environment, with this one image, with what we are seeing, this is the question you have to ask yourself, okay? Do you look at this mask? Do you look at this image, what they're presenting to us here, and ask yourself this question? Do I buy that this could be the 1978 Michael Myers mask from 1978, okay, John Carpenter's original Halloween, but aged 40 years? Do you look at this mask and say to yourself, yes, I buy it. I buy it. Maybe I got to see, a bit more, but I buy it. I look at that and I picture, Nick Castle as Michael Myers in 1978 walking down the hall. I picture Tommy Lee Wallace breaking through the closet. I picture him picking up the phone and, putting the phone to his ear. Yeah, I buy it. I totally buy it. That's where I fall. Okay. I look at this mask and I go, could this be the same mask 40 years later? And just based on this image alone, I look at this and I think to myself, yes. However, I have to see more. I have to see more. Or do you fall on the other side of the coin where you look at this image and you look at this mask and you think to yourself, no, not buying it, don't see it. To me, I look at this and I think Rob Zombie's Halloween. And I only mention that because a lot of people thus far have said because of the weathering, because of the cracks, they immediately think of Rob Zombie's Halloween. That's entirely possible as well. And maybe you look at this and you go, nah, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. I think it's too weathered. It's too aged. I was hoping for something, a little more cleaner, a little more polished, something very reminiscent of the 1978 original, and I'm just not seeing it. Maybe you fall on that side of the coin. Whatever side of the coin you fall on, keep your expectations in check and, remind yourself that we are seeing this image in a controlled environment, more than likely in a photo shoot, and we're not seeing a lot of it. Okay. We're not seeing a lot of the mask here. Okay. And, we look at this and we go, okay, cool. All right. On to the next thing now. Now the waiting game begins for either another image of Michael Myers, a clearer image, maybe a pulled back image where we see all of him and maybe we see more of the mask and the hair and the ear, or maybe, a teaser trailer or, an official trailer. Whatever the case is, now that this information has been presented to us, another waiting game begins. So you have to keep your expectations in check. But that's the question you have to ask yourself. When looking at this image, ask yourself the question, do I believe that image right there is the same mask from 1978, the same mask that picked up that phone, and put it to his ear, that walked down that hallway, that busted through the closet, that sat up and did the head turn, that killed Bob in the kitchen, that killed Annie in the car, that was watching Lori from, the neighbor's backyard amongst the sheets. That's the question you have to ask yourself. Do I look at this image and do I believe that is the same mask, but only 40 years later? Anyways, my name's Dave McRae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. I would love to know. What do you think? Do you like the poster? Do you not like the poster? Are you somebody like me that likes it, likes what you see, but needs to see more? But at the same time, you're like, yeah, I buy that. I buy that is the same mask. I totally can buy that would be the same mask 40 years later. Or are you on the other side of the coin where you're like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not seeing it. I need to see more, right? I'm not feeling it. I don't know. Too Rob Zombie to me. I'm not seeing it. I don't know. Comment below and let me know. I would love to know. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. McRae is MCRAE. Facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. You can follow me there in the meantime and in between time, because when I'm not posting here, that's where I tend to post. So feel free to follow me there. Yeah, comment below and let me know, folks. I want to know. We've got it. We've got an official teaser poster for the new Halloween movie. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I don't know, folks. Comment below and let me know. The best fucking thing I've ever seen! It's just amazing! It's fucking amazing! It's unbelievable! It's fucking shittiest thing I've ever seen. That fucking shit, man. It's shit. I feel so let down. I can't even go on with my day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.